And there's only a little bloody doggy gate. Check it out. You just pop the handle and send all your boys through. What a little find. Now I've got to decide what way I want to walk back. Which, there's the way we know, and then there's the way that's the wall. Look, just full disclosure to open the vlog. I mean, you know, I've done one literally about a really bad time I had last year. People have been immensely crappy the last couple of weeks, just a combination of factors, but what it's meant is I just feel like I'm constantly being watched. I feel like people constantly undermining my authority and thinking that, not family or friends or obviously anything like that, not the good people I like, just complete strangers, right? Yeah, also enjoy the ASMR of the dogs running around, but today, things are alright, do you know what I mean? Today I've had some people chatting, being friendly, compliments. I've actually had compliments.
Give me compliments. I said give me compliments.
Yeah, alright. Maybe they were complimenting the dogs, but sometimes, but also complimenting me. And it's just really been nice. And people just actively just chatting and just not pulling away at the first sight, being all like, oh, what are those things?
They are my Crocs.
They've been like, oh, they're lovely. Oh, you look like you got really good handling on them and stuff. Or, oh, have you had a nice walk? Just nice things. Just nice things, and it's been nice. You know what else is nice? This view. So this is part of, around that corner is my favourite moorland where I've done a lot of filming. They are, why parrots called parrots? Because they are. It's because they are. You know, I've been thinking a lot recently about people and about how much they really pee me off. But more specifically, you know, when I think about why that is, why people feel they need to be such assholes, and I feel like it can be summed up in the difference between the two phrases, like the rest of us and for the rest of us.
For the Emperor! You thought we could...
Examples include, you should do this like the rest of us. It implies that you know better than anyone else, that you don't know any better, that you should just fall back in line, you know, do what everyone else does. For the rest of us,
For the Emperor!
do this like the rest of us. You're being asked to usually not do something and do this thing instead like the rest of us. But for the rest of us, well, it's a question of consideration, and it's saying, would you mind doing this for the rest of us? Or, sure, would you mind not doing that? But then the little buffer there becomes, don't ruin it for the rest of us. Do you see? Am I making any sort of sense? Is the wind blowing too much that you can't hear me? Probably. So, Doctor Who. You guys have been following along, right? You know, episode 1, it's this fantasy epic where I've made a brand new planet and a species and this elven race. And just to catch up to speed, you know, she thinks they're quite kooky and fun and they sort of drop in to find a companion, but actually it turns out they're a lot more advanced than she thought there was, and that they have a lot more sort of political issues going on, and you know, a lot of character beats bubbling beneath the surface. And then episode 2, you guys were all there for, it's the Demon of St. Ives. It's this opportunity for the Doctor to play with her new companion and for them to have this crazy Lovecraftian adventure in 1899 Cornwall. During this episode, the Doctor meets, God, what do we call him now? Well, he was called Darren, but now he's not called Darren, but I can't remember what he's called. It doesn't matter. The Doctor meets the guy who's going to become her boyfriend.
Huh?
her boyfriend, and so much more. We're doing a Team TARDIS situation. Trixie's come to join me to tell you about this. Hello Trixie, how are you? What do you have to say? Then we introduce our third companion for the series. We'll get to him, don't even worry about it. But then for episode 3, I wanted that to be our early season historical epic. You know, you've got Charles Dickens episode, Shakespeare, Flight Unicorn and the Wasp, Agatha Christie, and so on. Vincent van Gogh, Winston Churchill. I mean, the list goes on. Episode 3 was going to be my historical episode. In season 1, I cheated it and I made it James Bond in the episode Magnificent Mr. Bond. But in this one, I wanted to be like, no, he is okay. They are going to be a real person. And so I went with Orson Welles, and I was like, well, what about? I remember when I came up with the idea with this, I had a bunch of different episode plots. It was basically the night I came up with season 2 or 12, depending on what continuity you follow. I had a bunch of different plots written down that I was just basically throwing out there to fill out the map, and I was like, okay, what if he's recording War of the Worlds and there's actually an alien invasion, but nobody knows about it because it's happening in Radio City Tower in the New York equivalent, and these aliens are quite little, they're like Stitch, do you know what I mean, and they're sort of infesting the tower and stuff. And wouldn't it be fun if throughout the episode we see him practicing his speech, and then Orson Welles doesn't care. He doesn't care about all this silliness. He just thinks they're performance artists. He thinks the aliens are just a big prank someone's playing on him. Like, he's this big old drama queen with all these bureaucrats running around him like, you can't do this, it's too scary and all this stuff. Throughout the episode, he's constantly going over his speech. He's constantly trying to find new ways to perform it. And then at the finale of the episode, he performs it. But in reflection, it's just like, there's only so far you can go with it. Yeah, it's a fun, classic Doctor Who romp. But with a lot of my episode ideas, it was fine 2 years ago when I wrote the idea. It was very safe, it was very placated, but I've come on so far since then. And I've thought of these concepts and these ideas and these characters and these premises that are a lot more advanced than that, and more developed, and just quite frankly more interesting, because evidenced by the fact that when I was describing it to you then, there's a limit to the plot. It's okay, well, we know who's going to record War of the Worlds and do the live read, and we know that these aliens are going to get disbanded at the end of the day. And in further to that, if they're little Stitch aliens and stuff like that, what potential do they have getting up to all sorts of mischief? How many times can they choke some wires and sort of mess with the frequencies, do you know what I mean? Or you could do the plot where it's like, oh, it's a major broadcast, and for that reason some alien wants to jump on the airwaves and hijack the airwaves, and it's just not particularly interesting. Well, that's just quite nice looking, isn't it? So then I'm thinking, and I literally just thought of this today, so this is quite fresh. So then I'm thinking, well, Joe, you're not really motivated to write it, and you are kind of struggling to finish episode 2 because you want to get to the rest of the series. You want to get to the powerhouse the series is going to be, but then you've just got this episode 3 that's just this little, just annoying, kind of very safe, very placated story. And then I came across this TikTok. Let's all get up and dance to a song that was a hit. Alright, it's fucking creepy, right? Don't ask me why. It just makes me really, really, really uncomfortable. And I've shown it to people, and I'll be like, isn't this a little bit weird? And people have gone, yeah, actually, that is a little bit weird and stuff. And then it gets me thinking, and it's got me digging up a past idea of, well, what if? I like everything about the Beatles, but the music almost, you know what I mean? It's the iconography, and it's the different stages they went through and stuff like that. And then it's the fact that there's just these 4 guys, and I'm thinking, well, wouldn't it be funny if I play on that creepiness, play on the Paul is dead conspiracies, and I could insert the Doctor into, say, 1970 whatever, sort of near the mid to back end of the Beatles' career, pretty much find the epicenter of where Paul McCartney was said to have gone, find that moment in time, and then insert some messed up Doctor Who alien fantasy plot in there. What do they want with our boy? God knows. He's just going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then he woke up one day and Paul was dead, and so they had to get this other guy to replace him. So we're doing it. It's fun. It's silly. It's gonna be really fun, and you're gonna have like the Doctor's boy be like, oh, I really like the Beatles and stuff, and then actually find out that they're kind of assholes, which apparently they were. As most famous people are. Shocker. And then Esther, who's obviously an alien princess, she doesn't know anything about this, but Esther's story is closely linked with the mysticism and the dark forces that exist behind her race and the forming of her people and what it's in relation to. And so we could tie that in, you know, like our WandaVision, it's like one strand of magic over here that Wanda exists in, and then it's one strand of magic over here that Doctor Strange exists in. It's kind of like that. It's a case of the realm of magic and mysticism that Esther is used to dealing with is linked with whatever magic and mysticism has taken our boy, taken Paul McCartney, but it's going to be a different vein, it's just going to be a different sort of universe of magic, but it's magic nonetheless, and it's somehow linked. So yeah, bear with me on this one, lads. We're being smart, we're getting good ideas. I feel really good about this one, and that video is creepy as all hell, so we're really fun to sort of play on that. And you know, it's not like ideas need to mean something. So I'm sure the music video for Does Your Mother Know, or whatever the hell it's called, it's perfectly fine and innocent and was fine for the time and all that, but it's in there. Like, I cannot stop thinking about it, and I just don't have that connection with War of the Worlds beyond it just being an idea that, you know, I'm sure many people have had over time. Do you know what I mean? It's just like the concept of, oh, War of the Worlds, but the aliens are real. It's just like, that's literally every adaptation of War of the Worlds ever is just like, you know, no one does the story of, you don't do the story of War of the Worlds where he's just doing the radio play. You do the story of War of the Worlds where the aliens are hip-hop happening. And secondly, but don't worry kids, your stories don't always have to mean something. You're literally looking at the guy that wrote the Winterbottom's Take Me Orca. Like, sometimes things can just be things and just be fun, and that's fine. Inspiration has struck, so you just run with it. And, you know, admittedly, I've seen the video a few days ago and I've rewatched it since, but what you're seeing is quite like the raw, fun, creative part of the process. It's the fun bit. It's where you haven't written anything down. It's where it's just ideas, and there are no stupid, you know what I mean? There are no moments where you're looking, thinking, why the hell did I write that? It doesn't exist yet. So it's just a really, really fun, embryonic point in time where anything's possible, and you can run with any, you know, the idea can be anything. Do you know what I mean?